Hey friends, welcome back to the channel. My name is Tori if you're new here, and today I am going to be showing you what I plan on stockpiling in the year 2024. We stockpile for a variety of reasons, but food shortages, inflation, and emergencies are all part of our prepper journey, and it is something that we all have in common and something that we should all be preparing for. If you're new here, hi, hello. I make videos all about preparedness on a budget 3 to 4 times a week, and I would love it if you hit that subscribe button. We are a very positive community. So if you like that kind of thing, definitely introduce yourself in the comments below. Give this video a big thumbs up if you enjoyed it, and let's get right into it. All right, I'm serious. I wrote the list down instead of just winging it for all of you. I tried to organize it by category. This isn't all food, but I do have some things in here that I am just prepping that is personal to our family and our life here in Colorado. I say that a lot, that prepping is unique to the prepper. So make sure you are prepping things that you're actually going to use and some things that you actually know how to use. We will get into that later on in the video, but starting off strong with number 1, that is going to be rice. And I went ahead and picked up a bunch of rice today, just some extras, because most of my rice is in Mylar, and then I put the Mylar in buckets. I've gotten that question before. I do a double whammy just for protection and, just an easy grab and go situation. If I'm showing you my prepper pantry, please know that that's just one pantry. I always encourage people to store food off of their property. And that knowledge can just be shared with your immediate family or anyone that needs to get to that food. So perhaps finding some property, maybe you could store it at your office. You could even find a storage unit to rent out to store some food in. But shelf stable is key, and access to that food in the event of an emergency is super important as well. So I got some enriched rice, and I've been talking about getting off the enriched journey on my channel. But if I am talking about long-term food shortage when it relates to shelf stable rice, I am getting the cheapest I can. Rice and beans can get you very far on that journey, and you could even add just a can of protein if you're worried. But rice is super cheap, and whenever it's on sale for $1 a bag, I go ahead and grab it. So Kroger this week has a huge sale, and I'm just gonna put all of these into Mylar, then add it to a bucket. If you didn't know, rice is at a food shortage right now, and that is because India has stopped its export of non-basmati rice. But we are turning to other countries to get that rice, and unfortunately, their laws are a lot different than India's, so it might be a little bit more expensive, and they are being affected by drought and different crop-related issues. I did look up our increase for 2024 when it comes to food. It's going to be a 1.3 to 4.2% increase when it comes to inflation. So that's something that you need to think about, stocking up now so you don't have to pay more for it later. Next thing I'm stocking up on is going to be dairy and meat. And not all of my stockpiling items are going to be shelf stable. That's very important to shout out. A lot of people think that everything needs to be dry storage or they need to have some sort of canned storage, but utilize your freezer while you have it. And in the event of an emergency, if you can power that freezer with a generator or something like that, that would be awesome. If you have to leave the property, unfortunately, your meat and dairy will go to waste. But when it comes to emergencies in 2024, I don't plan on leaving my home. So dairy and meat are getting hit just because feed cost has been rising. And according to my local farmers, there has been an influx of disease within their animals. Another thing that I am not stocking up on, but I thought it would be good to bring it up, and that's going to be palm oil. That is a big food shortage for 2024, and a lot of people are going to say, I don't need palm oil, that's so silly. You have to think about the ingredient or the shortage and what it affects. I said that in my last video, but palm oil is in just about everything, and if there is a shortage, they're probably going to turn to something else to make that product. So if a product calls for palm oil and they don't have it, or they can't buy it because it's going to be skyrocketing in price, they will probably turn to sunflower oil or coconut oil. Guess what? Those are a heck of a lot more expensive than palm oil. So I feel like a lot of those products with palm oil will go up in price, and I think they will just soar through the predicted inflated price as well. Next on the list in shortage is going to be corn and soybeans, and that is because of disease. Corn and soybeans are going to go into that animal feed that we were talking about, among other things. Corn syrup is a big thing in a lot of our processed foods, so if you are hooked on processed foods still, I know I talk about it on the channel often, but we are 80-20 here. We still consume processed foods. It's very, very hard to take it all out of your diet, but if I am seeing corn syrup in any of those boxes, I try to avoid it. So I don't think this will affect us too badly, but if you keep animals, that's another thing to think about. I have been trying to get my chickens and ducks away from a corn-fed diet. They just really love it. So oftentimes I will go to my local mill and I can find feed there, and then I just add things to their feed. feeds. I add dried mealworms for a variety of reasons. They still get table scraps and greens here and there, but I've also been adding some red pepper flakes and some oregano. It's a natural dewormer for those chickens just to keep them healthy in this Colorado mud season. And then that goes into our next shortage, and that's going to be eggs. Unfortunately, eggs are going to be a huge shortage in the year 2024 because of avian flu outbreaks. I know we've heard that before, but the projected avian flu rate has just skyrocketed, and that can be blamed on a number of things. I'm not really going to go into it. I do think it's a planned occurrence. We talked about this last year when we were seeing a lot of chicken owners not being able to get eggs. They had healthy hens and they just weren't laying, so they looked at their feed, and a lot of the big box feeds changed an ingredient and it was causing the hens not to lay, according to some of these bird owners. Then it got us all thinking, and we looked into who owned some of those big box feed mills. And if you want a rabbit hole to climb down, this one will enlighten you. So if you are looking to get into that part of your conspiracy realist journey, is what we're going to call it, because most of what we talk about on the channel here is fact at this point, that is a good one to look at. So look into who owns those big feed companies and why those hens weren't laying and how that relates. Next thing on the list that I am stocking up on is going to be seafood, and we eat fish quite often. My dad was a fisherman, he still is, and I grew up with it. My husband not so much, but he's been really loving it. So I will say, when I looked this up, the food shortage was seafood, but we are still getting salmon, we are still getting trout, because I feel like these reasons affect freshwater fish as well, and a lot of overfishing is happening as well as pollution. So it's causing these waters to be unsafe, and we are seeing those populations drop. We are seeing natural disasters. We are seeing train derailments that are carrying large mass quantities of terrible chemicals that are just being dumped in the water. And we dove into that a little bit ago. That's another rabbit hole you can climb down if you are ever curious about those train derailments, and if you've ever thought to yourself that those accidents were planned. Next on my list is going to be citrus. Citrus was on my list last year, and it doesn't affect us too badly. I joked in a video that I drink lemon juice in my water and I can't live without it. It's not true. I can live without it, but it would be nice to have something on hand, some sort of shelf-stable juice. And then when it comes to fresh items like grapefruit and oranges and things of that nature, those are a little bit harder to make into something shelf-stable unless you are a canner. And I love canning oranges. It's the easiest thing ever. If you want my recipe, let me know in the comments and I will type it out to you. And that's it for the foods that I'm focusing on in 2024. I, of course, have been focusing on wheat for a while now. We have a mill up the road, same feed mill that provides our animal feed, and it will take me about 30 minutes to go get a year or two supply of what I need. So if I fear that that is going to happen, I will head up there, but right now our needs are met. We have about a year's worth of wheat berries stored, so that is my backup, that is my security, but of course we like different kinds of grains, so that is something to think about. Our wheat has just diminished over the years just because of a few things going on overseas, and that's something that you need to consider if you're planning on making your own breads and things of that nature. The next thing I'm stocking up on for 2024 is going to be water and a way to filter it. That is a big one. That should be number one on your list. It should be drinkable water, and it should be water that you can use in the event of an emergency. If you need to bathe, do your dishes, clean something, just about anything that you use water for on your day-to-day, start writing it down. That is what I did. I just went throughout my entire day, my entire 24 hours, and wrote down every time I used water, or I used it for the kids, or my husband used it at work, and I came up with what we actually needed. I always think that we are not going to have enough, but it's important to start stocking up. I started stocking up on water in glass bottles. You saw that in the last couple of videos, but a case of water is going to go very far for you if you're new to this journey. Don't ever let anybody tell you, preppers included, that it's not good enough, or it's not the correct ingredient, or hey, that's in plastic and it's going to poison you. Don't ever feel like prepping is not doing anything for you, because having something at the end of the day is more important than anything else. Then when it relates to water, I have those jugs that we talk about from Walmart. They're like 25-gallon jugs, and you can take them down to a river, creek, body of water, so you can fill that up and then use it for your home. And I would suggest getting some sort of like cart or stroller or wagon so you can haul it just in case you're not able to use your car. But after you get that back to your home, definitely find some sort of water filter or some sort of tab that you can stick in the water so you can drink that water if you need to, or you could use it in other ways. I have really been looking at the collapsible 25-gallon jugs just for storage reasons. I just think it's awesome that they don't take up too much room, and I think it's a smart prep to have. Another thing we're stocking up on in 2024 is going to be ammo. So whatever you have for self-defense, make sure you have enough ammo and then some to keep in your arsenal in the event of an emergency. Something else I've been stocking up on are non-GMO heirloom seeds. You all know I have a seed little packet linked in my description box, and that will cover your medicinal seeds. But I also want you to start thinking about some seeds that you can plant this year and some seeds that you can save for the years to come. I always find it's very important to have that knowledge. So in relation to the seeds, I suggest getting some gardening books. Even if you are a seasoned gardener, if you're a master gardener and you know what to do with these seeds, having something written down, something that you can reference on paper, is very important to have. And then an extension to that relation is going to be maps and other books that you may need. So it could be recipe books, it could be medicinal books, it could be books on medicine, depending on what works for your family, but make sure you have it in a paper form. In the event of a grid down scenario, you won't have access to your phone, you won't have access to a computer, so it's important to have access to your prepper library. All of my favorites are linked in my Amazon store, or if I have specific prepper books that I like, they will be linked in my description box. I've reached out to these companies and they have provided you with codes and I get a commission. So it's a win-win for everybody. If you want to look into those books, definitely check out the links. And that, my friends, is what I'm stocking up on in 2024. I am sure I've forgotten something. I'm always interested in your list, so if you feel comfortable, definitely let me know what you're stocking up on. Let me know if you are new. We would love it if you became part of our YouTube family. I will catch you this week for some more fun videos. Thanks so much for being here. As always, stay adventurous, stay creative. Bye, y'all.
I'm looking for a brand new start. I know I got some trouble getting over you. I think that I've played my part. I need to get away somewhere far from you.